Yowzers, we've got some spectacular activity to bring to you today from the Smash News Network least busted name in news, so let's get right into it. The first thing we're looking at here is Earth's magnetosphere. Yes, Earth's magnetic moment from space. And things are pretty calm here. The plasma pressure environment around planet Earth, the magnetic pressure environment, is attempting to reach static equilibrium here. As you can see, most of the pressure is on the dark side of the planet at the moment, and that's following the subsiding of a lengthy high-speed coronal hole wind stream. Anyway, that's Earth's magnetic moment from space for the last 4 hours. Here's Earth's magnetic moment from the ground. This is in nanotesla, magnetic flux density, and things pretty calm here too. Where things aren't calm is on the closest star. Things are quite spectacular, as we've had an X-class and a series of M-class flares, which we will show you in great detail momentarily when we get into the solar flaring section of the video. We'll also be talking coronal holes and sunspots, locations of heavenly bodies in the solar system, probably everything you'll need for your space weather requirements. Also, make sure you view us on Twitch. We're also on BitChute. Please visit the links and support the channel. That's the last 4 hours of Earth's magnetic moment from the ground. KP index at 2. It's a geomagnetic calm condition. If you want to read more about the KP index, just click on details from the planetary K index page on the Space Weather Prediction Center. Next, moving to the real-time solar wind. So we see a much lower solar wind speed than yesterday. Now we're down to about 407 kilometers per second for the speed. Solar wind density quite diffuse here as well, only less than 5 protons per cubic centimeter. Everything else fairly unremarkable on the solar wind data. The X-class and M-class flares that we saw occurring have not produced any relativistic particles yet. Nothing showing up on the GOES proton flux associated with those flare events. Let's take a look at the top view ecliptic plane field plot. Is Earth in a South Pole current sheet? It looks like not yet. So surprisingly, not yet in a South Pole current sheet. I would say with 99.9% certainty, by tomorrow, Earth will be in a South Pole current sheet. Here are the GOES magnetometers over the past 3 days. And understanding how to read this data can help you to forecast this data. I'll just leave it at that. And here's the line of sight view. You can see this South Pole current sheet shown in red here making its way toward Earth as solar cycle 25 kicks up. And we'll move on to coronal holes. So there was a series of flares coming from sunspot 2992. It's already set behind the limb and it's still producing large flares. An indication that there's further evidence for you right there that indeed large solar flares are more likely around the limbs than they are in the center of the solar disk. In other words, large flares are less likely here and more likely in these locations. Probably not up this high, more like these locations. Anyway, that's 193 angstroms. It's good at showing coronal holes. And let's show a diagram here from the Gong 2 magnetic data. And the one that's in the earthly zone here, that is a North Pole-oriented coronal hole. There are some South Pole-oriented coronal holes trailing it, sort of in front of sunspot 2993 and sunspot 2994 and the rest of the group. We've got even more sunspots rising, by the way. It's pretty exciting stuff. So 2993 and 2994 are just huge. 2995 also huge. And there's another huge one, 2996 now rising at a slightly more polar latitude there. Slightly higher latitude there for that new sunspot. That'll be 2996. Likelihood of major flares just pegged at more likely than not. Let's take a look at sunspots. Here's 1700 angstroms. One of the best wavelengths to view, especially large sunspots. And we're going to zoom way in. And we would like you to weigh in with any comments that you have. These have actually gained complexity over the past 24 hours. We see some additional umbrae forming, like to the north of sunspot 2993. Again, there's a new large sunspot rising back here. Let us know in the comments if you think it's going to be beta class. At the moment, we only see one polarity umbra from that. And let's get even closer, because we want to display the best imagery of the closest star on the entire internet, which is why we do it daily. Little light bridge there stretching across sunspot 2993's main umbra. Is it splitting in two? What do you think? Did you know that we're also on BitChute? Did you know that our views have mysteriously dropped 80% on BitChute? Yeah, they were over 2,000 a day, and now they're at like 400 a day. It's pretty weird. I don't know if it's because of bots or if they change what the parameters for a view are, but you'll see exclusive content if you view BitChute. Also, make sure you visit our homepage at smashamash.com. Welcome to the Neo Renaissance. Support the channel by clicking. You can find our merch link there. Today's featured product is Universum Libertate, the motto of the Galactic Federation Special Forces. If I could wave my magic wand, I'd set everybody free. We also stream regularly to Twitch. We've already done it one time by the time you've seen this video. And consider becoming a member of the Smash Team if you'd like additional content. You'd like to support the channel with a couple bucks per month. At the silver or gold level, the best value is the gold annual paid-up subscription. Did you know the radio flux is nearly as high as it ever got during solar cycle 24? Yeah. There's a graph. And the radio flux is now at 160. So it's way up here. It never even reached 175 in solar cycle 24. I would continue scrolling here, except that post right there is only for gold and silver paid subscribers. So if you like additional content, become a member of the Smash Team. Thanks to everybody who has. Smashamash.com/Smash Team. Let's take a look at flares up close and personal. And we see some flaring going on as we record the video, but this X2.25 class flare occurred peak flux around 3:50 Universal Time this morning. And here are some extreme close-ups. So that's 335 angstroms, one of the many species of ionized iron that the SDO follows. There's an M-class flare. And there is that X2.25. Here it is in 171 angstroms, the house favorite. We've slowed these down to 10 frames per second, by the way. Here's 131 angstroms. One of the best wavelengths to view flares is 131. It takes 10 images per minute, so it's got a higher temporal resolution. Just spectacular. 94 angstroms is similar. It takes 10 images per minute instead of only 2. And that's why you get a better series of images, because there are just 5 times as many images. Yowzers. And congratulations to all of you viewers on realizing that the channel exists. Next, we're going to briefly show a star chart. We've got the moon in its setting mode here. You've also got Saturn, Mars, Venus, and Jupiter all rising ahead of the sun. It's just spectacular. And we've drawn in the galactic plane, which is the blue line, and the ecliptic plane, which is the yellow line. My star chart faces the south. I'm facing the south, and so is my sofa. Next, a solar system forecast. Here's where things are now. There's where things will be in a week. We'll have a crescent waning in 1 week on April 27th. And we'll close things out with the coronagraph imagery. There were some CMEs associated with those flares. We brought up the LASCO C2 today. And I don't think any of this flaring is earthly directed. I don't really see an earthly component associated with those flares. They look like they'll all miss to the southwest. So for you new viewers out there, Earth would be off in this direction from stereo A, and it would be behind you from the perspective of the Soho-Lasco C2. That's where they're located, stereo A at Lagrangian point 5, the Soho-Lasco C2 at Lagrangian point 1, and that's where we'll have to close things out. Thanks for tuning in, viewers. Take a moment to press like and subscribe, press the share button, tell your friends and foes about us at the Smash News Network, Least Busted Name and News, and may that solar wind be at your back. Our finest days lie ahead.